We're joined now by Brian Hayes. And Hazy, we've made it to a big milestone, the 10-game mark of the season already. So let's use it as the first opportunity to hand out some out-of-the-gate awards. We're going to start with the big one. Who's been the MVP so far?
Oh, I think it's Jack Hughes. I think it has to be Jack Hughes. He's putting up McDavid-level numbers here, Sarah, right? Like right off the hop, he has been lighting up this league. First overall pick. He had a great season last year. This is not unexpected. We've seen it build towards this for quite some time. But New Jersey's a really good team. I think they're going to compete for top spot in the East, and they're dragging there courtesy of Jack Hughes. He's off to a phenomenal start. I think he's probably the favorite now to win the Art Ross with McDavid's injury, although that's probably going to, come alive again 10, 15 games down the road. But 10 games in, give or take, it's Jack Hughes at this point. I think it's unanimous.
Well, to be on pace for over 200 points is outrageous.
Pretty good. That'll work.
Now, how about your Norris Trophy winner, Erik Karlsson? He won it again, of course, last season, but I think it's safe to assume his start, you're going to go in another direction.
Yes, I'm going in a different direction. I'm going to stick with the Hughes family, though.
Okay,
I'm going Quinn Hughes right now. I think Quinn Hughes, you look at plus minus, which is a stat that, again, is new school versus old school, but it's been a really good start for him in terms of when he's on the ice, Vancouver scores and the opposition does not, which is really important for a defenseman here. But in terms of points, he's leading the league in defensive points. He's a leader for that team. Now he's got the captaincy, and I was curious how that would look for him, like how it might affect him early into the season. They've been waiting to break out in Vancouver for a while. They have not been a very good team for quite some time. There's been turnover behind the bench, turnover in the front office, and they're going to get out of this with Hughes, Patterson, Demko. Patterson's another guy that's chasing Jack Hughes for the MVP. He's off to a great start. But right now, this feels like not a breakout year because Quinn Hughes has been really good for a long time. But he has been phenomenal to start the season. Vancouver's winning a lot of games. If they end up as a playoff team and he continues on this pace, I think he wins his first Norris.
Yeah, I'd like to say the Hughes family is paying you off, but hey, the performances don't
They're so
lie.
good. What am I? It's like it's the Manning family. What am I going to say? I mean, they're rock stars right now.
Well, there's no Hughes behind the bench, but let's go there. Lots of coaches deserve some love. And who would be your early season Jack Adams winner?
I'm going back-to-back here. Jim Montgomery in Boston. I think the start that they've had, Sarah, has shocked me personally. I didn't think they would fall off a cliff, but I thought they'd come back to earth. They had a historically great season last year. Then they lose Bergeron. They lose Krejci. Taylor Hall gets traded effectively for nothing. Bertuzzi leaves. Orlov leaves in terms of free agency. I was waiting and bracing for them to really take a step back and kind of be in the wild card race. It doesn't look like they have any intentions of doing that. The fact that there's no hangover from a great season, then a disappointing first-round loss to Florida, no hangover from their best player, their captain, Bergeron, leaving. I think Jim Montgomery's done a remarkable job, and it was early in the season. Game 2 or Game 3, they had already won, 2 or 3 games in a row. I remember him coming out after the morning skate and blasting the players. Like, he has been on it from day one. Do not let your foot off the gas. Jim Montgomery in Boston's my guy.
Okay, but you did say the Canucks are looking really good. So you think Rick Tocchet could be hot on his trail?
I think so, absolutely. This is a classic. Like this, all these awards are narrative driven by the end of the year, unless you have a player that just runs away with it. If McDavid, like last year, has 60-plus goals, 150-plus points, he's going to win it. Erik Karlsson, 100 points as a defenseman. He was going to win the Norris. I think Jim Montgomery, the same thing. They had such a great year. Obviously, it was like a layup for the voters, but historically, the coach of the year, that Jack Adams goes to a new coach that drags his team to the playoffs that was not expected to do that, right? And that is a classic example of what you're talking about right here. That's Rick Tocchet. Yes, he came in about halfway through the last year, a little bit later than that, but he's had a full offseason, a full training camp, and he's on pace for a full season in Vancouver. Right now, they're in the playoffs. They look good. Absolutely. Rick Tocchet's the guy to keep an eye on.
Okay, we will. One last pick, okay? This one, a prediction, though. Looking forward, Rocket Richard race is going to be awesome. Of course, all year long with what we've already seen. In the end, though, Hazy, who takes it home?
I'm going to go with Auston Matthews still. Now, he had those first 2 games where he scored a hat trick. Since then, he's only scored 1 goal. But he's still in the race. That's enough to keep him in the race. He's been historically slow at starting. The Leafs have been historically slow at starting. He and Mitch Marner are not really playing at their best. In fact, nowhere close to it. But I expect that to change at some point. I think they get chugging again. When they do, I think he scores a boatload of goals. For me, it's either him or Pastrnak. I know DeBrincat's in the race right now. He's had a great start. I think DeBrincat will come back to earth a little bit. Likely still scores 40-plus in Detroit. But I think it's Pastrnak or Matthews, but I will go with Austin Matthews.
Well, we're going to have to check back in on the spring to see if you were right. And there you have it. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment below with your picks as well as your chirps for Hazy. You got to give him some.
I'm constantly getting chirped online.